Welcome to Spirits and Screams.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Spirits and Screams. Okay, it's the start of spooky season and I'm really excited. We're going to be deep diving into a whole bunch of cool horror movies that I've chosen. And so stay tuned for all of those. They're going to be dropping probably every couple of days, actually. I'm really excited. Tonight, we're going to start off with a film that I watched on Shudder. It's from 1972. It's called The Stone Tape. And I watched this one totally by fluke. And I looked up it after, and apparently it was actually a stage play at that time. And it really comes across that way. I would have loved to have seen this back in the day as a stage play. I'd love to see a play like this actually in a theater. I think that would be really awesome. I've never had the chance to do that. I'm sure there are things like this out there, but I've never really looked into that. I'll have to do that sometime though. This one was super creepy and really fun, and I loved that I found it by accident and got to check it out. I find films like that are so much more fun to watch when you find them by accident. I've watched a lot of new stuff recently as well, and I'm kind of revisiting some of the old stuff, but it's just fun to find something new that you haven't seen before that you kind of missed. It wasn't on your radar. And I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it. Just so you guys know ahead, I'm not going to have any spoilers, so you don't have to worry about that. I'd rather you guys watched it and then come back and talk about it kind of thing. But I'm going to get into a little bit about it, but I won't give away any of the good stuff. The Stone Tape from 1972 is a British television horror drama written by Nigel Kneale and directed by Peter Sasdy and starring Michael Bryant, Jane Asher, Michael Bates, and Ian Cuthbertson. While working on a revolutionary project, a man, his former girlfriend, and other team members encounter a ghost. So it was put out by the BBC in 1972, and it was very well received. I apologize for the fan running in the background now. It's really hot in here, though. It's October, but it's hot. Who knew? Okay, so this movie is based on... I'm going to read this because I'll screw it up if I don't. It's based on the stone tape theory where ghosts and hauntings occur when historical information is released from rocks and other items. I found that fascinating. I didn't even know that was a thing. And once again, sorry I'm reading this, but I don't want to get it wrong because it's so interesting to me. The idea that these materials hold information from emotional or traumatic events aligns with views from the 19th century intellectualists and psychic researchers such as Charles Babbage, the father of the computer, Eleanor Sidgwick, who's a psychical researcher, and Edmund Gurney, who's a parapsychologist and psychologist. So these people had these theories, you know, that that people, not necessarily their souls, you know, leave their bodies and go to the afterlife, but that stone and objects on the earth can actually hold events that were really traumatic at the time and kind of replay them as though they're like a haunting or ghosts and that kind of thing. I think that's really fascinating. I think it's totally possible that that's a thing. I believe in a spirit soul being part of you and, you know, leaving your body when you pass away as well. But I think that the idea of energies being kind of harnessed in, you know, crystals and stones and that kind of thing, I think that's entirely possible as well. And I think that's a fascinating idea. And a lot of paranormal investigators still kind of use this theory, this philosophy as well. So anyway, when I saw this film and I heard about that, I thought, okay, this is the perfect movie to be deep diving into on my channel for sure. So this movie made this whole theory popular, you know, and it kind of spread the word around and people started thinking about it and researching it and that kind of thing, investigating, if you will. And like I said before, the BBC put this out, so as a play. I saw it as a movie because it's on Shudder, and that's how they've released it. But so I'll probably refer to it as a film, but it is a play, and it's kind of set up that way. So the stone that they're kind of referring to in this film is called Kentish flagstone, which was pretty popular way back when they were building castles and buildings back in the day. So it's apparently one of those stones that has that kind of power to harness and record these sorts of events and play things back. So, you know, sometimes you've seen in movies, I'm sure, where there's a haunting that the event seems to be, people see ghosts and see an event kind of recurring and replaying over and over. It's that kind of thing. Yeah, so really, really interesting. I did have to do a lot of researching and digging into this one to sort of know more about what was going on with it, but the film itself is perfectly fine and fun to watch without all this info, but I just thought it was so much more interesting where it came from and where the idea and concept was derived, you know? As it shows in the movie, you know, the stone harvests these traumatic events and they keep replaying. It's like a haunting or ghosts happening. And of course they needed proper equipment and people that could theorize about the whole thing to be able to play the recordings back. Such a cool concept, especially back in 1972. Really, really fun. Man, that was a great time. I'm so glad I was alive back then. It just, things were so cool, the stuff that they would look into and discover and research and that kind of thing. So different because they didn't have computers back then, you know, like everything was not the internet and all of that. It was kind of all just at the cusp of all of that happening, and so they had to use different methods and tools and things to figure stuff out. But I just find it fascinating, and like I say, this movie really resonated with me. So there's lots of books and writings on this whole topic, and I find it fascinating. And if you do too, just like look it up and check stuff out. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than even what I'm talking about here or what's in this movie. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to look some of it up too. I might do another follow-up video to talk more about it. Maybe there are more movies that are to do with this subject. If you do know that, please comment them down below. If you know more about this stuff than I do, comment that down below too, because you know I would love to chat, and long comments, please. I love those. I really want to say I appreciate everyone that continues to comment on my videos. It's so much fun to me. It's so cool to be able to watch these things with people from all over the world and chat and listen to your thoughts and insights on these films. I really, really appreciate you guys. And like I said earlier, some parapsychologists actually follow this theory as well. I'm sure that would be a fascinating thing to look up as well, to see what studies have been done, you know, on this whole thing with stones, and I imagine crystals and objects and maybe homes too, you know, or places could have this kind of thing happening. So anyway, really interesting. So T.C. Lethbridge wrote a book called Ghost and Ghoul in 1961, and that's apparently where this whole idea for this play film came about. Let me know if you guys have read that book. Comment below, and if you recommend it. I think I'm going to look for it and check it out because I think it'd be really interesting to read up on. The whole play, like, it kind of has that feel of a horror podcast as well, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, you have to kind of watch it to understand what I'm talking about, but it does come across as a stage play, like a really old school stage play with the dramatic set and the lighting and just the way that they're acting for the camera and your viewpoint and that kind of thing. Really neat. All right, the story for this film is about a group of researchers, scientists, that move into this old Victorian mansion, and they're going to renovate it so they can continue to do their research, which doesn't have anything to do with the haunted stuff, but it kind of evolves and transpires into that because they very quickly realize the place is haunted. Well, one of the researchers is an ex-girlfriend of the head guy that's kind of running everything. And she starts to uncover some weird stuff and bring it forward to them. Takes a bit for her to convince them, but then they start seeing things happening. And I think it's because they're renovating something that's very old. They find this room that some of the contractors will not even deal with or renovate because it's too creepy and so many weird things happening. It's kind of very old and something that they know they shouldn't be touching or changing. So yeah, it's really fun right off the start. I just love the atmospheric quality to this movie, and it's got it's kind of all contained in this one building, because it's a play. But it's kind of claustrophobic, and the set is just so cool. It just seems like it's so much fun. I really, really, really wish I could have seen it as a play back in the day. Maybe it was always a play that was run on TV or on the radio, whatever, and was never actually something that you could see as a sit-down play in a theater. But I'd love to see something like that. I think that's so cool. Okay, so as they're frantically, renovating this place, they unleash stuff. And the ex-girlfriend, she's a scientist and she's really smart. I love that they portray her this way, because back in the day they could have, made her out to be a bubblehead they don't take seriously. But she's actually really smart, and she's the one that starts looking into it and figures out that the stone is recording stuff. And anyway, tensions kind of mount as things go because lots of bad stuff's happening, and it's it's happening so fast, everyone's in disbelief, and they've got pressure on their backers to complete this project and get things set up so they could do the research. So it's pretty crazy. All the elements of a really good horror film, all there for you. Very old school, really fun. It's neat seeing all the old equipment and stuff that they used to work on. I remember back in the day, I remember when computers were like a whole room, huge, and there was data processing and stuff like that. All that good, useful stuff that I learned back in high school that I don't use anymore, So it was really cool seeing that old school stuff. It really gave me that feel and put me back there. I guess this movie kind of, in a way, made me think of The Fly. I don't know, totally different concept, totally different thing, but it kind of had that feel to it, the look to it as well. And another thing I wanted to bring up that really stands out to me with this movie is the sounds, the score and the sound effects and that kind of thing are so creepy and so unique and cool. I really enjoyed that about it. I love when people do that, and it just adds such a great element to the whole thing. It was really fun. And the acting's all really good. The costuming, all of that's really fun. And they use really old school effects of how they would show ghosts, like a projector with film superimposed over top of translucent or transparent kind of film footage put over top of the backdrop, so like a stage play would do. I love that so much. It's so fun to see that kind of thing. So no CGI, none of that kind of stuff, all practical that way. But yeah, really fun. I really enjoyed that. It just flashes you back. It's kind of hokey. A lot of modern day film watchers would think that it was really hokey and stupid, but I really liked it. I thought it just added the charm to the whole thing. Made it really fun. It made me giggle when I was watching it, and I wanted to see it again. So you've got this superimposed film over top of the set, the backdrop, where you can see this kind of partial glimpses of an event happening of some sort. And I think down the road, the girl reads that there was an exorcism performed there as well. So that just so creepy, really scary. Had I seen this back in the day, that would have really freaked me out, knowing that was part of the movie, especially if I was watching it and it's just about a random ghost haunted house kind of thing, and hearing that there was an exorcism performed. Oh, really, really scary. They give you little tidbits, but you don't really find out until the end, what's actually going on. So it just lets your mind kind of wander and fill in the gaps and try to figure it out. And I didn't know what was happening until the very end, actually. So it wasn't predictable or, boring or, cliched or whatever. I really liked it. The whole movie kind of turns into like a paranormal investigation, but it's not modern, it's old school with all the old school equipment and just them being frantic and that kind of thing. I really like that so much. I wish more people would do stuff like that instead of all the modern stuff that we see. Really fun, because that kind of stuff was, popular back then. So they were doing that kind of thing. And to see it on a like scientist level, where scientists are actually investigating it and trying to figure stuff out and put it together is really quite something, really amazing. I love that kind of stuff. Those are my favorite types of things to learn about and watch and see it in films and that sort of thing. So we're getting some science and the supernatural and something really dark in this one. And wow, all the check for me. Loved this. And I can see why it was critically acclaimed when the BBC put it out in 1972, because it's a classic. It's really a classic. To me, it resonated right up there with The Changeling and Kolchak's Night Stalker. I thought it was really, really fun, so I was really glad that I got to see it. I don't know that it's going to be for everyone, but if you guys like those films, I'm sure you'll dig this one too. And by all means, let me know what you think in the comments below. So this one's top tier for me, and for my review, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. A Spirits and Screams cult classic. I freaking love this film. Adding it to my list of top films that I love. It's perfect for spooky season. It's good for all audiences too. It's not too scary. It's definitely not super, super over the top gory like I'm hearing Terrifier 3 is. Still want to see that one too though. But it's good for everyone to enjoy, I think. It's great, bucket of popcorn and something to watch really close to Halloween. Definitely one that I think you guys should check out. And I want to stop right now to do a big, huge thank you to my patron. And guys, go check out my Patreon. It's linked below. And sign up for it. There's a free platform. You can do the free thing and you get to see some of the posts. Or if you want to contribute to my channel, and help out with that so I can keep doing these things, that would be really awesome too. I super appreciate that. Lots of extra content, and one of the tiers you can get a monthly bookmark and sticker delivered right to your door. So that's really fun too. All to do with the comic book series. Yeah, really fun. Well, you guys, this was really fun. I'm gonna get going because I've got many more to film and bring to you so that I can get these going every couple of days. I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening, and we will see you again on the next one. Bye, guys.